Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today is November 4th, 2025. Another day in a war that keeps rewriting its own map. Across Ukraine, the front line stretches for thousands of kilometers, a living scar that moves, heals, and breaks again. Every hour brings new reports, new coordinates, new names that few outside the region have ever heard of. But among them, one stands out above all: Pokrovsk. It is here, in the center of Donetsk region, that the war has once again reached its boiling point. Let's move systematically, direction by direction. On the southern axis, the Orikhiv-Huliai-Pol sector remains active but largely positional. Russian artillery continues to strike Ukrainian fortifications in Stepnohorsk and in the southern quarters of Mala-Tokmachka. The skyline there is filled with smoke. Apartment towers turn to hollow silhouettes. No confirmed territorial change appears on the map, yet local sources describe entire blocks erased by precision strikes. Around Uspanivka, Russian infantry now controls roughly half of the settlement and pushes northwest toward Poltavka. Drones dominate the airspace. FPV strikes are reported daily against Ukrainian strongpoints and supply trucks. Further east near Huliai-Pol, Russian units attack with small assault groups supported by artillery. Villages like Rybnoy and Novoe appear on reports only as coordinates. Nothing remains but cellars and fragments of walls. This sector looks static, yet it drains manpower and equipment from Kiev's reserves. Every shell here means one less gun supporting the defense of Pokrovsk. That is the key to understanding the broader picture. The south bleeds quietly so that the center can fall loudly. And at the center lies Pokrovsk, a city that now defines the war. Russian forces have entered the southern and central districts. Ro, Shakhtarsky, and Solnechny are effectively cleared. Drone footage shows infantry advancing through streets that yesterday were grey zones. Civilians have long since fled, only dust moves between the buildings. According to the Ministry of Defense, more than 80% of the city is under Russian control. Ukrainian garrisons remain isolated in the north and northeast, particularly around the industrial zone known as the Pokrovsk Citadel. There, among factory shells and warehouses, the last organized defense continues. The sound of battle is constant, bursts of small arms fire, short mortar exchanges, then silence. It is the silence of men waiting for the next wave. Officially, Kiev insists that Pokrovsk remains stable. President Zelensky told his staff that only 200 to 300 Russian soldiers remain in the city. Independent footage contradicts this completely. Videos from Russian helmet cameras show assault groups moving methodically from one block to another, checking entrances, marking cleared buildings with white paint. No sign of panic, no rush, only the slow rhythm of professional soldiers finishing a task. That rhythm, more than the explosions, reveals the truth. The battle is ending, not beginning. The northeast sector of the city remains the most contested. It includes the machine-building plant, the gas station complex, and several tall residential buildings. Geolocated videos confirm Russian presence near all three. Analysts note that the assault follows the same pattern used in Avdiivka months earlier: infiltration, encirclement, and gradual collapse of defense by continuous drone and artillery pressure. Reports indicate that 3 high-rise buildings, previously key observation points, are already in Russian hands. Fighting now moves block by block towards Stepana Bavkuna Street, where the remaining Ukrainian units attempt to delay the inevitable. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, Ukrainian forces launched 14 counterattacks in 24 hours. 10 from inside Pokrovsk, 4 from outside. All were repelled. The outer attacks came from Rodinska and Attrition, but failed to reach the city. The forest belt that once served as their corridor is now a wasteland under constant aerial bombing. FAB-series bombs continue to hit the area. Drone footage shows lines of craters cutting through the tree lines like scars. No organized retreat is possible. Commanders on the Ukrainian side reportedly ordered small groups to break out on foot, but they were intercepted within minutes. The city has become a trap. To the west lies Mirnohrad, once a separate settlement, now effectively part of the same battlefield. Russian troops advanced nearly 1 kilometer on its southern outskirts, capturing several fortified blocks. Footage shows burned vehicles still smoldering along the main road. Earlier this week, FAB 3000 strikes targeted Ukrainian command posts. By morning, Russian infantry was already occupying the ruins. Current estimates suggest around 5,000 Ukrainian soldiers remain cut off inside Minohrad. All roads in and out are covered by drones and artillery fire. Attempts to reinforce the garrison end in flames. Several Ukrainian units reportedly left their positions without orders, retreating north toward open fields. None made it far. The link between Pokrovsk and Minohrad is gone. What was once two cities is now one large cauldron. Local communications intercepts suggest panic. Radio messages mention missing officers, destroyed vehicles, requests for evacuation that never receive answers. Analysts in Moscow describe the situation as irreversible. The comparison to Debaltseve in 2015 appears again and again, a decisive encirclement achieved not by speed, but by methodical pressure. Unlike earlier battles, this one unfolds under constant visual control. Drones record everything, from infantry movements to the moment of surrender. Beyond the cauldron, the Dobropilya salient remains unstable. Ukrainian troops continue counterattacks from Kharkov and Vladimirovka, hoping to cut Russian supply lines. None succeeded. 2 armored personnel carriers carrying approximately 50 soldiers were destroyed by FPV drones within minutes of each other. Satellite imagery from the region shows blackened fields and burned-out vehicles left untouched for days. Russian operators claim complete dominance of the airspace here, using dozens of drones to block every attempt at rotation or withdrawal. Further east, near Kostiantynivka, Russian units expand control from Oleksandr Shultine toward Ivapilia. The area is heavily mined. Progress is measured in meters. Still, engineers clear the way under fire, and assault troops follow. Along the railway corridor toward T504, Ukrainian trenches are hit daily by precision drone strikes. Advances are small but constant, the type of attrition that slowly erodes an army's ability to fight. North of this sector, pressure increases around Hrihorivka and Orekovo-Vasilivka. The eastern outskirts are under Russian control. Clashes continue toward Markov and Novo-Markove. Both sides rely almost entirely on drones and artillery. Infantry rarely sees the enemy. They hear him, they sense him, but visual contact lasts seconds. This is what modern war looks like, a conflict of shadows and coordinates. North of Bakhmut, the Siversk direction grows tenser each day. Russian forces push from Vyemka towards Vanivka, attempting to reach the last supply road that keeps Siversk alive. Clashes are constant in the surrounding forests and farm fields. If Russian troops secure Platonavka, they will physically cut the route from the north and place Siversk under full fire control. Already, all major approaches are under artillery observation. Convoys move only at night with lights off, guided by drones rather than maps. The few surviving residents hide in basements, counting explosions to guess who controls which side of town. Further west, on the Krasny-Lyman front, the situation shifts by the hour. Heavy combat continues north of Yampil and Drobyshev. Ukrainian counterattacks briefly forced Russian infantry back from several positions, but artillery fire restored the previous line. Fighting also rages near Lyman itself. Drone operators from both armies report using hundreds of FPV systems per day, often against individual targets. Observers note that every engagement now takes place under total aerial surveillance. No maneuver goes unseen. For commanders on the ground, this has changed everything. Every movement, every flare, every vehicle becomes a potential target. War here is fought through screens and coordinates rather than binoculars and shouts. Meanwhile, on the Kupyansk axis, the battle for the city center intensifies. Geolocated videos confirm Russian assault groups inside central districts, fighting near a school complex that has become a strongpoint. Despite Kyiv's public claims that Kupyansk is cleared, Ukrainian channels privately admit severe losses and chaotic withdrawals. Russian troops control most western neighborhoods and part of the downtown area. An LMUR missile strike destroyed a Ukrainian command post, eliminating a platoon in one hit. Artillery continues pounding bridges and crossings across the Oskil River. On the outskirts, burning vehicles mark the path of another failed counterattack. Civilian suffering in this region is immense. One verified video, filmed near Krylyakivka, shows a Ukrainian drone operator targeting two elderly civilians walking with their dog. Both were killed instantly. The footage, now circulating online, sparked outrage even among Ukrainian audiences. It is a small glimpse into the daily reality of drone warfare, a conflict where machines hover above ordinary people, deciding in seconds who lives and who dies. To the north, near Vovchansk, Russian forces gained another 600 meters over 2 days, consolidating control in the industrial zone. The fighting here is brutal and personal. Forested terrain, short distances, constant ambushes. Every tree line holds trenches. Every trench is watched by a drone. Further west, engagements continue near Sinelnikova and Volchansky Khutori. The map barely changes, yet the casualty numbers grow. Farther west still, the Sumy direction remains positional, but violent. Artillery exchanges and drone strikes take place around Yunakivka, Kondratovka, and Sadki. Both sides attack and counterattack without visible gain. Here the front has not moved for weeks, but each day it consumes more lives, more shells, more endurance. Analysts observing the entire line agree on one thing. Ukraine's army is overstretched. It transfers reserves constantly from sector to sector, trying to hold too many fronts at once. Each withdrawal triggers another breakthrough elsewhere. The Russian command, in contrast, favors gradual pressure. Slow, deliberate movements that exhaust the opponent rather than overwhelm him. Attrition, not speed, defines this phase of the war. No grand offensives, no sweeping arrows across maps, only a continuous tightening of control. From a distance the line may look still, but inside that stillness thousands of small battles burn unseen. At night the horizon from Pokrovsk to Mirnohrad glows red. Observers describe the skyline as a chain of silent fires. The drone feeds show columns of smoke bending in the wind, illumination flares reflecting in puddles, fragments of radio traffic whispering through static. Inside the pocket, Ukrainian soldiers record short messages for their families, sending them through weak connections before batteries die. Some ask for rescue, others simply say goodbye. It is a portrait of a war fought under constant eyes, where every act of courage or despair is captured by a lens, stored and archived within hours. By the evening of November 4th, analysts believe the Pokrovsk-Mirnohrad pocket is functionally closed. All supply lines are severed. Attempts to approach from Dobropilya fail under drone and artillery fire. If Ukrainian forces cannot reopen a corridor by dawn, the entire grouping will be lost. For the soldiers still inside, options narrow to two: surrender or destruction. There is no third path when air, ground, and even night itself are under control of the enemy. In the wider picture, this turning point reshapes the war. The fall of Pokrovsk would free thousands of Russian troops to push north toward Kostiantynivka and west toward Kurakov, exposing new flanks of the Ukrainian defense. Kiev faces the hard arithmetic of manpower, fewer trained units, fewer reserves, and increasing pressure from every direction. Western analysts call this strategic exhaustion, a stage where decisions are driven not by plans, but by survival. Yet beyond strategy and geography lies something harder to quantify: the human weight of this conflict. Every burned vehicle once carried men with names and stories. Every ruined house once sheltered a family. Now the cities of Donbass echo with a different kind of silence. The silence that follows too many losses to count. War maps show progress and setbacks, but they cannot show the fatigue of those still fighting. As night falls on the 4th of November, the battlefield settles into its uneasy rhythm. Artillery flashes still mark the horizon, drones still buzz above, and somewhere deep inside Pokrovsk, the last radios transmit faint, broken messages. Whether the city survives another day or falls before morning no longer changes what it has already become: a symbol of attrition, of endurance, and of the heavy price of persistence. This concludes the full Frontline report for November 4th, 2025. Stay observant, stay informed. The dawn of November 5th will tell whether Pokrovsk still stands, or whether its name joins the list of cities that belong to history.